My dear friends, my dear masters and my dear gods, I am S.K. Rajan here from the Pyramid Valley International, formerly Managing Trustee of Pyramid Valley. I take pleasure in introducing Brahma Vidvarishta Girja Rajan and Purnima, who are also senior meditators for the last over 22 years. And they are also great admirers of Harold Baldwin Percival, the author of this great book, Thinking and Destiny. We have just spoken in the last episode on money, which is sometimes referred to as the money energy, as the green energy, and which is required for our subsistence on planet Earth. But the point Percival wants to make on money is that for receiving money or for becoming wealthy in a lifetime, there is no accident or inheritance at all. There is no accident of wealth or inheritance, and everything depends upon how your previous lives have been led by you when you were a human being on this earth. And everything happens because of past good actions, good or bad, and that is the outcome of the result thereof is felt in the later lifetimes. So we are going into the second part of this chapter of money, and I start reading it. He who is born in poverty, who feels at home in poverty and makes no effort to overcome his poverty, is a feeble, indolent, and ignorant person who has done little in the past and so has little in the present. He will be driven by hunger and want, or be brought by love of those dependent upon him to work as the only escape from the dull treadmill of poverty. He who is born in poverty with ideals, talents, or high ambitions may be one who has ignored physical conditions and spent his energies in dreaming and in castle building. He who suddenly suffers reversals of fortune may be one who in the past has deprived others of their property or who has neglected to protect his own. The present experience is a lesson necessary to make him feel the physical want and suffering which loss of prosperity brings, and to make him sympathize with others who experience it. Or the loss of fortune may be required by destiny or as a check on developing tendencies or as preparation for other work. The possession of wealth is the result of work or worship in the present or in the past life. Physical labor, intense desire, worship of the money god, and continual thought are the means by which money is obtained. Upon the predominance of any one factor will depend upon the amount of money gained.
So beautifully, Percival Master has put it. He says, poverty, those who are poor have done little in the past and have not cared to earn any money in the present, and they go on to a state where they don't want to acquire any money also, because they start enjoying that suffering. So they become very indifferent to that state. So that is not actually good because we need to work for our livelihood. We need to work hard, put our efforts, and get some amount of money so that we are comfortable. So poor people are basically lazy. They don't want to, mentally and physically lazy, they don't want to get out of that situation, and they enjoy being lazy, is what Percival says here. And about people who have a lot of wealth, he says they have earned it from their past lives. They have actually done a lot of good service to mankind, or service in any form, and earned that wealth in this lifetime. In this lifetime, or even in the present lifetime itself, they would have worked and got it. That's what he goes on to say. He says, with continued thinking, worship of this money god, and also their strong intent and hard work, they go on to become rich and wealthy. So that is what it is, all a matter of thinking and hard work here. So whether it is previous lifetime or this present lifetime. So this is all actually what he says is there is nothing accidental in this. Everything is according to what we have done or not done. So that is what Percival says here.
Yeah, it is very very well explained by Purnima. So whatever has been read out, but I would like to add one or two points here. That is, those people who really lose their wealth here, a huge amounts for that matter, we see them become paupers. We have seen that over the times. We have seen many people who have been having very huge business houses have come to nothing. So because of their past deeds, that is, in the past they wouldn't have misused their wealth or not cared for it, and given problems to others or destroyed others' wealth. All those activities and all those thoughts, they come here to this incarnation, this birth, and they really do all this. That energy of that very thought that comes over and teaches him a lesson, so that he will learn a great lesson through this. Is the suffering is for learning. That's all. So everything is for a learning. So we should, when we take it to that, it definitely the mental destiny is fulfilled, and then we go on to get enlightened. So this is how we go on in life. So many examples we can give in having money and not having money. So both are not good until you see that the impermanence in holding money or the lack of it. So all these things are there. We know that. Some people think that money is anyway not permanent, so why should I earn it? A sort of indifference to money and laziness to earn it, all these things make up to the poverty of that person. So we should take to the middle path always and go about with money. So then things will be very good for us. Don't earn too much, don't earn too little also. You earn enough and lead a spiritual life, so that your life will be to your satisfaction. And when we are very much satisfied, there is no need to come back again and take a birth, because the whole earth is meant for learning. So it's a karma bhumi. We have to dissolve all our karmas here by learning. So that is what it is all meant. So whatever is here, including money, is only to give us a learning about it.
The unskilled laborer in field, mine, or shop, who uses little thought and does not carefully direct his desire, must work hard and long to earn enough for a scanty existence. With more intense desire and more thought, the laborer becomes skilled and is able to earn more. When money itself, not merely food, clothing, and shelter, is the object of desire, thinking provides the means by which it may be obtained. Then wider fields are sought where money is to be made, and greater opportunities are seen and taken advantage of. To obtain vast sums of money, a man must have made money the chief object of his life and have sacrificed other interests to the worship of the money god. When he has paid the price in worship, the money god will put him in touch with the other men having the same aims, whom he will be able to use in getting the money he craves, or the money god will put him into a position where he can levy directly or indirectly upon a multitude, as in the case of tax eaters, bondholders, army contractors, government builders, or franchise owners. Sometimes the money does not come soon, but then it comes in another life in the shape of inheritance, good fortune, gifts, sinecures, or pensions, without present work or worship. Yet such things do not happen except for the work and the worship of the past.
So beautifully, he has put friends here about how people earn large sums of money. And when I heard this paragraph, I remember only one person now, and that is Mr. Bill Gates, who is the one of the richest men in the world. So he, as a boy, was throwing paper at different offices, and one fine day he happened to see from the window a chair of the CEO, and he started having the same thought that he will be sitting on the chair one day, and his continued thought made him a billionaire. So, and his words I would like to tell here, he has actually told that being born in poverty is not your mistake, but dying of poverty is your mistake. So that is one other point which Percival had already made. See, dying of poverty is absolutely our mistake, because we haven't earned, and we have actually encouraged laziness in ourselves, so which we should not have. So I would here only suggest how much of hard work and how much of continued thinking Mr. Bill Gates must have had to have that position in this position in the world now.
Yeah, so this present life, as Brahmashri Pitamar Patriji has told, depends 95% on our past karmas, past deeds, past thinking, including thinking. So, yes, of course, the book's name itself is Thinking and Destiny. So, this destiny that we undergo in this lifetime is because of a past thought, past actions. So, we do become rich if we had served people in that way or worshipped the money god. All those things, because of all that, yes, definitely we will get opportunities here. So, and then we will get the inheritance, or by luck, some lottery tickets is through by way of that. Some we hear from news that some person, a poor person, a vegetable vendor, has got 20 crores of rupees through lottery. So like that, all these things come to him not by chance, not by luck. He has done something in the past. His thoughts have been like that. So in this lifetime, the situation, the time, and the place have paved way for the thought to exist here, to manifest here. So that is why he has got this luck. We call it as a luck, but actually he has earned it through his work and from his thoughts in the past lives. So even poverty is like that we don't do anything, we become very lazy, so we enjoy poverty. So again we will enjoy the same thing until we learn the lesson that poverty is only a sickness in the mind. So we have to get rid of that sickness and work, and then find out many opportunities. There are very many opportunities. It is like a sky. There is no limit to sky, no. So like that, it is the opportunities are limitless. So definitely we can earn so much for our livelihood. Yes, and take to a middle path, and take to spirituality, as rightly told by our Percival, that definitely we should not ignore money part. At the same time, we should not also hoard so much of wealth. But money spent wisely and for the right purpose, right cause, is definitely that will also earn us so much. Not in the way of money, by way of health, by way of happiness, by way of a sharp intellect. All these things will help us to lead a better life in this birth. So definitely we have to take all these points into our minds and put them into action.
According to the right or wrong use of money, will one suffer or enjoy what money brings? When money is the chief object of one's existence, he is unable to enjoy fully the physical things which its use can provide, and money makes him indifferent to the wrongs he does, deaf to the sorrows of others, and careless of his own true needs. Money, again, is the nemesis, which is the close and constant companion of those who pursue it. So, one who finds pleasure in the hunt for money continues the hunt until it becomes a mad chase. Frequently, the long hours of thought and labor required to amass his riches have ruined his health, and he dies a discontented man. Money may open up other sources of misery to the money's worshipper. He may use his money in ostentation or vice. He often neglects his children and leaves them to be cared for by others. It may be noticed that insanity and degeneracy are frequent among the idle and the luxurious offspring of the rich. In their turn, these degenerate children are the money worshippers of the other days. The love of money drew them into a rich family, but money has now become a curse.
So beautifully, how spiritually he has put it. This is a great message which we all have to take. So once we go on to amassing wealth, it is kind of never ending, and what happens is we have a lot of side effects with that. If you can observe the rich people's families, they neglect their children and they don't care about their well-being. They just think the material well-being is everything. That is not true. Emotionally, these children are they go on to become very less in energy and less in consciousness. They all lose everything at the end. So this is a kind of mad chase. That is what Percival is trying to say here. So and the whole lot become insane in the chase after money. So this is all actually not very not the actual priority of what we have come here for ultimately. So that is what Percival is trying to tell here. This paragraph especially indicates that it will just suck us into the material world, and we will never get back to the ultimate purpose of knowing who we are. So that is what Percival is trying to tell here.
Yeah, it is beautifully said. This paragraph is, especially we have to by heart it and keep it in our mind, I think, because it shows the real things that are happening in our lives. So we see these great people who are very rich, they don't have any time for themselves as well as for their children, because there is only a mad chase behind money. So the children, they develop a degeneration or laziness, and then they are not up to they are very much fed up with life, because everything is available for them because the material wealth is there. So they think that is the end of life. This is because the children themselves in their past lives have been like that regarding money. They would have wanted this money. They would have worshipped the money god. And because of all that, their thought and the worship has paved the way for being born in a very, very affluent family, no doubt. But that alone is not enough. The degeneration happens, the laziness begins, and all the vices get attached to them, and life becomes a boredom. And we see many suicides in the West by children in a very great affluent family. Great means in an affluent family. So like that we have seen many incidents like that, because there is nothing more to go. There is nothing more to learn, because they are themselves very lazy to know, to understand about life, and to think also, to think further beyond the money material things. So it takes eons of time for them to come back to their original nature, original self, and then get back and then get another incarnation where they may have to even suffer poverty, and so many things will happen, because the lessons anyhow will be taught to us by this earth life. So that is what it is meant for. So many things may happen, the wrong things, but ultimately, at one stage, man will be made to understand, will be made to learn his lessons and know his true self. Yes, definitely it is going to happen. But why unnecessarily, after knowing everything, why unnecessarily go through all those things? We need not go through the hardships, go through examinations. We can understand it now itself and then lead our life in such a way that it gives excellent results for us, contentment for us. We don't deviate from the middle path. We should see that we don't deviate from the middle path. And such a life is a very contented life. And so many incarnations will be saved. So we need not come back here and suffer again. So it's a very, very great lesson that has been taught by Percival Master. So definitely all will have to, whoever hears and those who don't hear also should be taught, will be taught. We need not hear this, but definitely life will teach them. So nothing to worry, but only thing is, if we know things, then it will be better for us.
Different from the future of the mere miser or dollar hunter is that of those who are unscrupulous and dishonest in the acquisition of money. The lot of successful usurers, engrossers of necessaries, sellers of adulterated food, promoters and floaters of financial bubbles is in the future that of common thieves or of robbers. Persons who individually or as members of privileged classes obtain through force or corruption certain special privileges to the injury of others are nothing but legalized robbers. These characters of thieves and oppressors, which they developed, will find their true expression later when they are externalized. Then, without the cover of legality, money, station, or influence, they are born as rogues and complain of the injustice of their lot. The born thief who is hounded from birth and soon comes to grief is the successful thief of a past life who plundered or defrauded others without then suffering the consequences. He is now paying the debts which he then incurred, whether he was a pilfering servant, a pickpocket, a common spoiler, a robber baron, a tax eater, a bribe taker, or any other kind of a cheat or fraud. Whether his acts were labeled as crime or not, they were dishonest, and that was enough. If he has had the character of a thief, that character eventually becomes externalized physically when he is the born thief who never had a chance. He is marked, outlawed, convicted, and caged as a rogue.
So, friends, this is exactly this para indicates the law of cause and effect, that is law of karma. He says, so whatever we have done with the others, or have been, if we have been dishonest, we get it back. Whatever we have given the others, we get it back. So he goes on to say those that cheats and thieves, how they get those exteriorization, that is how their reality comes up, is what that has been explained here. So once they will definitely get to that situation where they will be made to learn lessons. They might escape from any kind of punishment in this lifetime, but next lifetime is always there for them, and they will get to learn that lesson in a much harder way. So it's better to be honest in this lifetime and also be aware of the conscience, which keeps reminding us what to do and what not to do. So that is what Percival actually wants to tell us all here.
Yeah, it is definitely true that our past life karma and past life thoughts, they are the force behind which, or they are the foundation on which this whole present incarnation depends. So for everyone, for every person it is like that. Suppose a person laments in a jail, that means because of some small theft or robbery, uh, as we know, he will be charged for the crime that he has not really committed. All these things is because of his past thinking and his past deeds. So what will happen is, what would have happened is, he would have been escaping all the punishment in one incarnation, and a very successful burglar or a thief. So he will be go on like that. He will go on like that, never get punished, never get caught anywhere. So like that it will go on. So many crimes are there, monetary crimes are many in number. We can list everything. Like that it is there. It is the list goes on. But at the same time it has to be paid for in another incarnation. So now in this incarnation, if he is jailed for even the smallest thing, and so many crimes are written in his name, he not being the real culprit this time, but the past thinking that has driven him into such situations where he will get caught. So his own thinking has got so much energy. The energy will create such situations, such atmosphere, and get into that place, and then the thought gets materialized. So it is when a thought comes, it has got so many things connected with it. Our conscience, really, as Purnima said, conscience will never accept whatever the mind may give a picture of us, that you are the greatest honest person in this world. That is what the mind will give a picture about us, whereas the conscience knows. So everywhere everything is written there, somewhere it is all recorded. So whatever the guilt is there inside us because of doing a wrong thing, definitely it is carried over to the next incarnation. We do suffer for the things that we have never thought of or never committed. So we have to be very, very careful, aware in this lifetime.
I would like to tell here one statement given by Richard Bach. He has made it so beautifully. He has given that is the only obligation in every lifetime is to be true to yourself. So that is what he has told. The only obligation the masters are asking of us, the astral masters are asking of us, is to be true to our own self. So the only moral obligation. So in every lifetime. So that is the only thing the astral masters are asking of us. I think we should follow that. Of course, all the meditators by now, definitely you would have become more conscious, and definitely you would be more true. I mean, you know your truth, so you know how true you are. So I think meditation will lead you more to being conscious of being true.
The physical suffering which one may have caused, the poverty which he may have brought to others by outwitting them or depriving them of their property, must all in turn be suffered by him. One who overvalues the pleasures and indulgences which money can buy and uses his money to procure these must be without money at some time and feel the need of it. The misuse of money brings poverty, the right use of money brings independence and honest wealth. Money properly procured gives physical conditions for comfort, enjoyment, and work for self and others. One who is born of honorable and wealthy parents or who inherits money has earned it by his thought and actions. There is no accident of wealth or of inheritance by birth.
So very clear message by Percival. So whatever we have done, whatever seed we have sown, we are getting the fruit accordingly. So nothing is an accident, he says. And suppose we are poor in this lifetime, we have been lazy and we have misused the wealth in our previous lifetime, is what Percival goes on to say. And today, if we are wealthy and if we are comfortable, if we are materially abundant, then it means we have had good thinking towards that and have put the required hard work So it is all our own actions which has given us the results today. So whether it is this lifetime or past life, it is our own thinking and our own actions that has led us to the choice which we are facing today. So that is what Percival has said.
Yeah, definitely. This is a wonderful paragraph that has been read out to us. Yeah, we should know that our thoughts, they carry so much power. Our own thoughts and our own actions, yeah, they also carry so much of power. So we should be cautious and we should be aware of each and every thought that is absorbed and then it is entertained in our brains and put into action by our bodies, by our doer. So that is bias. So, what thoughts we absorb, what thoughts we entertain, and what thoughts we put into action is we should be very much aware of all these things. Every single thought has its result. That is what, and every action of us has got a result. So, we should be very, very aware in our, at least in the present lifetime, so that we learn our lessons patiently. We don't complain about anything because we know that we have created our own reality. Nobody else creates our reality. We are the real masters who have created our own reality. We may call it as a bad reality or a good reality, but we may term it like that or color it like that, but it is all because of our own selves. So we have sown the seed and the fruits thereof is being eaten by us. The fruit may be sour, fruit may be very sweet. So it depends upon the seed. So viewers, I would request all of you to carefully go through this section and then again and again listen to this, and as per Percival's words is definitely lead a conscious life aware, with full of awareness, and every thought, every word is very, very important, not only for us, for the entire world, entire creation. It is very important. Our every thought carries itself to that great extent. So we should be very aware of that. So that is what he says. So we are not at all bothered about even small things. We don't take into consideration at all. We live life as it comes and we don't care about it. A careless attitude has developed, and because of that, we are now in this situation. The world has created such a situation for us to learn all those lessons. The present condition that is prevalent in this world is only to teach us a lesson that we should not be careless. So, and we should be aware. That is what is denoted. So, these words of Percival, they aptly fit the current position that the world goes through.
One request I have to the viewers, you can switch on the subtitles over the right side corner of this video and you can have a clear picture of what we are saying. Some might not understand, some words might not be audible very clearly. So if you want to get a better picture, better clarity, then please go on to switch on that subtitles button.
So friends, we have come to the end of this session. Before that, I would like to supplement and add some more points to this great subject of money. There is a book which every one of us should read, and I happen to be one of those fortunate people who got this book through our Brahmarshi Pitama Patriji almost 20 years back. The name of the book is Cosmic Moral Laws, and the author is Mikhail Ivanov, an Albanian author. The greatness of this book lies in saying that the law of karma plays an important part in our accumulation of wealth. And as we all know, as you sow, so you reap. So if you have sowed the best of seeds, you will get the best of fruits and the type of fruit that you really need. If not, you suffer and you will feel the pain of it in your later lifetimes. So what Mikhail Ivanov goes on to say in the course of his book and in the course of this particular chapter on money is that whoever is rich, whoever is a millionaire in the present lifetime is all because of the contribution of the entire society in helping him to become and to so fortunately gain this position of a wealthy person. So You cannot attribute his own contribution alone here, because there is a contribution by the entire society in making him rich. It may be the government too, through certain legal procedures, which has not hindered him from accumulating wealth. So this is one book which we ought to read, and there he says, where money is spent spiritually from out of whatever has been given to him or which has been inherited by him, if a portion of it is given for spiritual development, then it will multiply in greater measure for his own benefit. So here we come back to Percival when he says, according to the right or wrong use of money, will one suffer or enjoy what money brings? So if this person who has become rich overnight through inheritance in this lifetime, if he decides to contribute and to the welfare of society, then he will be again rewarded in subsequent lifetimes with, if not equal, a greater quantum of money which he will possess, and he can afford all the comforts required at that particular time. Then again I come to Osho, who says, money is like blood. It cannot be accumulated and kept by you, lest it may clot. So what does that mean? That means it is green energy, and the green energy is required to be circulated. It should keep on being circulated like the blood in our body should keep on circulating. Otherwise, the money will become useless and it will not be of any use to the person who owns it. So that is another message from great Bhagavan Rajneesh Osho. And thirdly, we come to Linda Goodman, who has written beautifully on money and spirituality, where she says, money needs to be circulated, it needs to be spent for genuine purposes, particularly for spiritual development. If a person is wise enough to utilize his money not to allow his legal heirs to have it, whether they deserve it or not, but to distribute it in society for good and ultimate purposes which will help mankind, then he will be fortunate in this lifetime and later lifetimes. So once again, coming to Adi Shankaracharya, Nitya Anitya Viveka Vichara. All of us should have the highest of thinking, Viveka Vichara, so that we put all the emphasis on gaining whatever is permanent. So permanent wealth is nothing but knowledge, experience, and goodwill. And all the rest is Anitya Vichara. So let us work in this direction as we have always been doing. And no wonder our 18 principles also contain a very important element of money, which says no money can be utilized or earned or got for spreading spiritual knowledge. So once again, thank you viewers, thank you to Girjarajan and Purnima. Thank you, thank you, thank you.